वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके मुक्तिर्मुक्ति नैष्टिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 7, Lord Krishna instructs Uddhava, text 11 onwards. दोष बुद्ध्यो भयातीतो निषेधान न निवर्तते गुण बुद्ध्या च विहितम न करोति यथार्भका. One who has transcended material good and evil automatically acts in accordance with religious injunctions and avoids forbidden activities. The self-realized person does this spontaneously, like an innocent child, and not because he's thinking in terms of material good and evil. One who has developed transcendental knowledge never acts whimsically. And it's not like, as Shloka it says, that he has to think about it. It's just his nature ingrained into it. Srila Rupa Goswami described the progression of devotion service from sadhana bhakti to prema bhakti. Prema bhakti is a stage of spontaneous love of Godhead, whereas sadhana bhakti means the conscientious practice of the regulative principles of devotion service. So especially in sadhana bhakti, there are two parts, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti and Raganuga sadhana bhakti. So Vaidhi means following the rules of meditation. Even if we don't want to, we still have to. In Raganuga, he automatically follows because he has developed spontaneous love for the sadhana bhakti. In most cases, one who is now enjoying transcendental consciousness has rigidly practiced the rules and regulations of devotional service. Thus, due to previous practice, one spontaneously avoids sinful life and acts in accordance with the standards of ordinary piety. This does not mean that a self-realized soul is consciously avoiding sin and pursuing piety. Rather, due to his self-realized nature, he spontaneously engages in the most exalted spiritual activities, just as an innocent child may spontaneously exhibit good qualities such as kindness, tolerance, and so on. The spiritual platform is called Shuddha Sattva, purified goodness, to distinguish it from the material mode of goodness, which is always to some extent polluted by the lower modes of passion and ignorance. So even material mode of goodness, it can have lower modes. Or sometimes also there could be some permutation combination, some percentage of lower modes there. And sometimes passion takes over, sometimes ignorance takes over. But one who is on Shuddha Sattva or purified goodness platform, then he doesn't come down to any lower modes. Thus, if a man in material goodness appears to be most pious in the eyes of the world, we can only imagine the thoughtless character of a self-realized soul in purified spiritual goodness. How good he must be. If one is a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, he will automatically exhibit all the exalted qualities of the demigods. Such manifestation of purity is spontaneous, as explained in this verse. Sarvabhuta surichantu jnana vijnana nishchaya pashyanam adatmakam vishvam na vipadyat vapunah. One who is kind, well-wisher of all living beings, who is peaceful and firmly fixed in knowledge and realization, sees me within all things. Such a person never again falls down into the cycle of birth and death, because then he is completely realized and he is liberated. He goes back to God. Shri Shukuvacha, iti adishto bhagavata mahabhagavato nripa Uddhava pranipatyaha tattvam jigyasurachutam. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, O King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, thus instructed his pure devotee Uddhava who was eager to receive knowledge from the Lord. Uddhav then offered obeisances to the Lord and spoke as follows. Uddhav is described here as Tattvam Jigyasu, desiring to know the truth. It is clear from previous verses that Sri Uddhav is a pure devotee of Lord Krishna and that he considers devotion service to Krishna to be the perfection of life. Thus, the words Tattvam Jigyasu indicate that since Lord Krishna is about to leave the earth, Uddhav is most anxious to deepen his understanding of the Lord so that he may further advance in loving service at the Lord's lotus feet. Unlike an ordinary philosopher or scholar, a pure devotee is not eager to acquire knowledge for personal gratification. And here also one thing, Uddhavji, pure devotee of the Lord, constant associate of the Lord, lives with the Lord, still he has this jigyasu, tattvam jigyasu. He wants to know the truth. He has already not just known, he has already adopted, implemented the truth in his life. Still he wants to know. This is real humility, and this is also the taste for Krishna Katha. Of course, Krishna is not going to talk to him about his pastimes, but whatever Krishna says, it's very sweet. Generally, people don't like philosophy. Bhagavad Gita, no, it's too much philosophy. Who's going to read Bhagavad Gita? But here, Uddhav Gita, this is what Krishna is going to teach him. And Uddhavji is so desirous, Tattvam Jigyasu, to learn the truth, to know more and more and more. Because everything about Krishna is unlimited. And it is always increasing on top of it. So we cannot know everything about Krishna. There is no way. So this is the heart of the devotees. They want to hear more. They want to learn more. They're never bored of Krishna Katha. Shri Uddhava Vacha Yogeshu Yoga Vinyasa Yogatman Yoga Sambhavam Nishresaya Me Proktas Tyaga Sannyasa Lakshana. Shri Uddhava said, my dear Lord, you alone award the results of yoga practice. And you are so kind that by your own influence, you distribute the perfection of yoga to your devotee. Thus, you are the Supreme Soul who is realized through yoga, and it is you who are the origin of all mystic power. For my supreme benefit, you have explained the procedure for giving up the material world through the process of sannyas or renunciation. The word yogesh here indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead awards the results of all yoga practices. Since all of the material and spiritual worlds emanate from the transcendental body of Krishna, there is nothing to be achieved by any yoga process except Krishna and his potencies. And since the Lord remains eternally the master of his potencies, no one can achieve anything through yoga or any other spiritual or material process except by the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word yoga means linking up, and unless we link ourselves with the absolute truth, we remain covered by the darkness of ignorance. Thus, Krishna is a goal of yoga. So here, Uddhavji is clearly explaining what is yoga and who gives the perfection of yoga. It's not us doing the gymnastics and we think we have mastered yoga. So real yoga, of course, it is bhakti, and Krishna is the giver of that perfection. In the material world, we falsely try to link ourselves with the objects of the senses. Man wants to link with women and women with men, or one tries to link up with nationalism, socialism, capitalism, or so many other isms. Since we are linking ourselves to temporary objects, the relationships are temporary. The results are temporary, and at the time of death, we become bewildered when all our connections are suddenly cut off by Maya. If we link ourselves to Krishna, however, our relationship with him will continue even after death. This is real yoga, linking process. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, the relationship with Krishna that we develop in this life will continue to increase in our next life until we achieve the supreme goal of entering Krishna's planet. Those who sincerely serve the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following the transcendental lifestyle prescribed by the Lord, will enter the Lord's abode at the end of this lifetime. So this is all we have to link. And see the beauty of Prabhupada's instruction. Even the name of the society gave what? International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we just have to purify our consciousness by all the practices. Then we are linked. Our consciousness is linked with Krishna, not with Maya. One can never achieve a permanent situation by mental speculation, which is they call Jnana Yoga. And what to speak of by ordinary material sense gratification or any karma kanda. By the methods of Hatha Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga, etc., one does not actually awaken his propensity for rendering eternal loving service to the personality of Godhead. That can never happen. It can only happen by Bhakti Yoga. Thus, one is bereft of the transcendental tastes of spiritual enjoyment. Sometimes a conditioned soul, disgusted by his failure to gratify his senses, bitterly decides to renounce the material world and merge into an impersonal, painless transcendence. But our actual happy situation is to render loving service at the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead. All of the different yoga processes gradually lead one to love of Godhead, and it is Lord Krishna's aim to re-establish the conditioned souls in this happy position. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is making this perfection easily available through the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Supreme yoga process of this age. So that's all we have to do. That is the real yoga. Tyago ayam dushkaro bhuman kamanam vishayatma bhi sutram tvai sarvatman abhaktar iti me matihi. My dear Lord of Supreme Soul, for those whose minds are attached to sense gratification, and especially for those bereft of devotion unto you, such renunciation of material enjoyment is most difficult to perform. That is my opinion. See, Uddhavji is asking about yoga and all these different topics. He has been to Vrindavan. He has seen gopis. He has taken instruction from the gopis also. He did not ask to Krishna, okay, Krishna, tell me some of your wonderful pastimes with the gopis. He did not ask for that. He is asking all these technical, philosophical truths for, obviously, out of humility and for our benefit also. Those who are truly devoted to the Supreme Lord do not accept anything for their personal gratification, but rather accept those things suitable to be offered in the Lord's loving service. The word Vishayatma bhi indicates those who desire material objects for their personal gratification instead of for the devotional service of the Lord. The minds of such materialistic persons are suitably disturbed, and it is virtually impossible for such persons to renounce material enjoyment. This is the opinion of Shri Uddhav. See, although they are disturbed, materialistic persons, everybody is disturbed. Because greed is such a thing, it can never be satiated, satisfied. More we have, more we want to have. That is material life. And after a certain while, we cannot have anymore. And then it becomes frustration, anger. And then it leads to all sorts of other problems. So although it is difficult, but materialistic people, it is impossible for them to renounce material enjoyment. Because if they renounce, they'll say, "Oh, I've lost. I'm a loser. What will the society say? What will my friends say? Oh, you don't give up. You keep going," and all these motivational talks and this and that. No, you keep going. You struggle. You fall down. Then you get up and dust off your clothes and again walk and again fight and again do whatever nonsense. Waste your time, basically. Nobody says, just think this is Krishna's arrangement, that it's best for you. So you engage yourself in Krishna's service. Chant the holy names. And if you have it in your destiny, I mean, it doesn't mean you don't work hard, but don't work over hard. Don't overwork, overachievement. No need to do that. Nobody attains anything more what they're destined to. Nobody does, no matter how hard we work. So suppose you were supposed to get maybe 10,000 rupees in a day, suppose. And if I work 8 hours and I get 10,000, and next day I think, okay, let me work 10 hours, maybe I'll get 12,000. But if I work for 12 hours, although I spend more time, my destiny is only 10,000, I'll only get 10,000. Then that's where people get confused. Oh, maybe my destiny was I was supposed to work for 12 hours, and that's why I was supposed to get 10,000. No. Krishna can arrange. Even if you work 8 hours, he can arrange for 10,000 rupees. That is what's supposed to come in my pocket. But the but is the issue is that we spend the spare time or the time we have saved in service of Krishna. That's where the key is. Nobody says don't work, but Rupa Goswami also says, and it's throughout the scriptures, it's like, do not overwork. Over endeavor is bad. When we don't even remember Krishna, when we don't even think of doing some service to Krishna. So karma, just simple karma is not karma yoga. It's not. It becomes karma yoga when our consciousness is properly situated in Krishna. Text 60. Soham mamaham iti mood matir vigadas tvan mayaya virachitatmani sanubandhe tatvanjasa nigatitam bhavata yathaham sansadhayami bhagwan anushadhi bhrityam. O my Lord, I myself am most foolish because my consciousness is merged in the material body and bodily relations, which are all manufactured by your illusory energy. Thus I am thinking I am this body, and all of these relatives are mine. Therefore, my Lord, please instruct your poor servant. Please tell me how I can very easily carry out your instructions. See, this is his humility. An eternal associate of Krishna spent so much time with Krishna in Dwarka, went to Vrindavan also, and he is saying, I'm most foolish because my consciousness is merged in the material body. It's very difficult to give up false identification with the material body, and thus we remain attached to our so-called bodily relations, such as wife, children, friends, and so on. Bodily attachment causes intense pain within the heart, and we are stunned by lamentation and agony. Bodily attachment. The attachment is so severe, so strong. Anything happens to my relative, my wife, my husband, my father, mother, children, brother, sister, anything, even if I'm sitting 10,000 miles away, I feel the pain. Why? Because of the attachment, because of the connection. And then we are stunned by lamentation and hankering. Although our real connection is with Krishna, eternal connection. But since we have forgotten that, and we have assumed that this connection in this lifetime is a real thing, which gives pain only, it doesn't give any happiness. It only gives pain. And this is what Maya is. How many relatives we have had so far in all our previous lives altogether? It is explained as many grains of sand on the banks of Ganges. Throughout, from Gangotri till Gangasagar. So many sand particles are there, right on the banks. That many relatives we have had so far. Where are they now? We don't know. But every life we have suffered because of our attachment with them. And Krishna has been waiting patiently for us to turn towards him and start thinking about our relationship with Krishna, the eternal, blissful relationship. Sri Uddhava, a pure devotee of the Lord, he speaks like an ordinary person, showing how to pray to the personality of Godhead. We practically see that many sinful persons enter the ISKCON society and after preliminary purification become most repentant for their previous illicit activities. They're shocked when they realize how they gave up the personal association of God to pursue the useless forms created by Maya. Therefore, they wholeheartedly pray to the spiritual master and Lord Krishna to be engaged eternally in transcendental devotion service. Such a repentant, eager mentality is most auspicious for spiritual advancement. The Lord certainly answers the prayers of a repentant devotee, desperate to escape the clutches of illusion. So the Lord certainly answers, not just answers, he helps the devotee get out of these clutches of Maya. Well, it depends how surrendered the devotee is and how determined he is to get out. Satyasya swadrish atman atmano anyam bhaktaram isha vibudheshvapi nanu chakshe sarve vimohit dhiyastav maya yeme brahma dayastanu bhrito bahir artha bhava. My dear Lord, you're the absolute truth, the supreme personality of God, and you reveal yourself to your devotees. Besides your Lordship, I do not see anyone who can actually explain perfect knowledge to me. Such a perfect teacher is not to be found even among the demigods in heaven. Indeed, all of the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, are bewildered by your illusory potency. They're conditioned souls who accept their own material bodies and bodily expansions to be the highest truth. And this is true for everybody. All conditioned souls, from Lord Brahma down to the insignificant ant, are declared by Sri Uddhava to be covered by material bodies, produced by the illusory potency of the Lord. The demigods in heaven, being absorbed in universal management, constantly utilize their fabulous material potencies. They therefore gradually fix their minds upon their mystically empowered bodies and also upon their bodily expansion, such as their celestial wives, children, co-workers, and friends. In the course of life in the heavenly planets, the demigods become conditioned to think in terms of material good and bad. And thus they accept the immediate welfare of their bodies to be the highest goal of life. So this is everywhere. The demigods do, however, try to strictly follow the laws of God. And to help them do this, the Supreme Lord descends to remind the heavenly beings of his own supreme personality, which possesses powers infinitely exceeding theirs. Lord Vishnu has an eternal body, full of bliss, knowledge, and unlimited variegated potencies, whereas the demigods possess only deluxe material form, subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. So even the demigods, everybody is going to die. In the material world, everybody is going to go through birth, old age, disease. But since the demigods are attached to ruling the created universe, their devotion to God is tinged with material desires. They are therefore attracted to those portions of Vedic knowledge that avoid the various material opulence necessary for perpetuating the celestial life. Sri Uddhav, however, being a devotee of the Lord, is determined to go back home, back to God for eternal life, and thus is not at all interested in the sophisticated Vedic knowledge of the demigods. The material world is a gigantic prison whose inmates are subjected to birth, death, old age, and delusion. And a pure devotee has no desire to remain there, even as a first-class prisoner like the demigods. Sri Uddhav desires to return to the kingdom of God, and for this reason directly approaches the personality of God. The Lord is Swadrisha, one who reveals himself to his devotee. Thus only the Lord himself, or his pure devotee, who faithfully repeats the Lord's message, can take one beyond this material sky into the free atmosphere of the spiritual planets, where the liberated soul enjoys an eternal life of bliss and omniscience, of bliss and knowledge. So a devotee doesn't even want to go to heavenly planets. Everybody all over the universe, all the way up to Brahma Loka, everybody is in the bodily concept of life. And devotee understands the issues, the problems with it, and they don't want to repeat it anymore. That's it. So I guess we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.